What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. Kaiba's XYZ cards have been reimagined into a duelist pack, and that X head is pretty good. That's not XCs, that's the old dragon metal tanks that combine and stuff, and there's some really cool legacy to the card updates. So with that, the ABC cards have started to get some buyouts on the higher end, and other Union cards are starting to go, so we'll talk about some less thought about picks, as well as some interesting ones. Even the ban list is getting a little affected on cards on the market that I don't think will pan out, but I think might pan out for the people that are buying them out. So let's go ahead and start with A Assault Core, B Buster Drake, and C Crush Wyvern, along with ABC Dragon Buster. Most of these only have two printings with an OTS Super for the ABC Dragon Buster. Luckily, being in a structure deck that was mass printed, a lot of these copies still exist in mass on the market, but the secret rares are from Kaiba Collection, which did have a rewave, so the unlimbs will be easier to get, but the first editions are definitely going up pretty fast today. So if you've drug your heels on getting these, you might want to do that sooner than later using my TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying, because even if it's rogue or just more playable, we've seen a lot of fans for decks like these end up still getting the pieces, and the prices for the highest rarities going up over time for a good amount of time. And every time I've refreshed today, the secret rares have been lower on quantities, and they're going at a pretty good amount. Union Hanger especially, which has a speed duel secret rare. I love the quality on most of the good set releases for this, but be aware the Battles of Legends secret rare is still ahead. But yeah, both of these going. And then you do have the option to play the deck as mostly all super rare so far, as even the Boss Fusion ABC Dragon Buster has a super rare here. Then you have Union Driver, which has a rare, and it has 200 quantities, so you don't have to rush out and get that if you just want access to it. But the Ultra is starting to definitely go fast in terms of quantities sold and people going after it and up in price. Nothing too crazy yet, but a lot of the ones at 3 and under have pretty much gone for the holo. Then Union Carrier, good old English speculation. I think that it's actually kind of smart to buy the ones under $2 to a degree, because that natural hype and conversation of, well, what if Konami wants to sell it better for this super busted crazy card? I can see it going 5, 6 around there, and people, going, yeah, they're gonna do it to sell the pack, and even if it doesn't, like, try to generate that hype with the people buying it not even having to do the lifting, so just silently buying it. I could definitely see that kind of market manipulation happening, as the ban list often pulls those strings. So I do get why people are buying it. I find it a bit ridiculous thinking that it would come off with how busted the actual mechanic for this is, but I don't necessarily hate the game of the people buying it under $2. Then you have Unauthorized Reactivation, only has one printing in a structure. It reads target one machine monster you control, equip one appropriate machine Union monster from your hand or deck to that monster, but the Union monster, the equip, cannot be special summoned this turn, so you can't just take it out of that back row zone with the mechanic. So it's a pretty darn good card for Union decks. Only has one printing. You might want to get that sooner than later using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. And I see Gamer's Choice there. Then we have Trickstars getting new support. It already had some support announced, which is why Lycoris Ultis went up, but the new card actually also goes towards Marincess. It combines the two archetypes, and I think it helps Trickstars a lot more overall. It's an extender that's pretty darn good, and you get to see all your opponent's cards. It's really crazy. So be aware that some Trickstar prices are going up in sales rates today, and some Marincess cards are, like, actually Click Dive, which does have a good amount of quantities still. Well, the sales rate is definitely up today and yesterday versus announcement, and you can see, versus the rest of the month, it about, 1.5's the sales. It's not quite as crazy as most jumps, because this still has a lot of fans and had decent sales rates for the price, but nobody wants to be opening this set, so I could see these drying up a bit if the hype continues. I want to talk about some meta staples and some lower end of Rarity Collection, because I've mostly focused the higher end of Rarity Collection one. I'm noticing that, we always slur our words and do it live, that the collector rares are starting to go up in Rarity Collection. Take a look at this, 38 listings on the Prismatic Collector Rare of Valor. We already discussed that this was most likely, for most cards, the winning second rarity after 25th, but Valor is starting to push up relatively decently, and definitely in terms of its sales rate through the month of people going, you know what, I'll go ahead and take that, and it's about pushing $15 at this point, where the top end has been doing well for itself. But also Nibiru, look at this, starting to push that $10 envelope over here, barely a few under here throughout the front page before it starts to go up there as well. Now, a lot of people like the quarter century secret rare, and the ultimate rare is going up. But third place, mid-maxing, is where Rarity Collection really specializes, and I think ages well. So kind of pay attention to that on some of the cards in Rarity Collection 2 that might be more desirable, like Droll and Lockbird, because I'm seeing even Secret Rare Effect Valor is pushing up. So those lower rarities on cards that can come back into demand definitely is something to think about upon release, when a lot of the cards are going to be heading under their future prices. We have Teardrop the Rika Queen. Plant Good Stuff continues to always get support. It feels like this card has been going up, as well as Snowdrop. We see that the market price was actually down a good amount, and now there's most copies being $10 and up dollars. It only has one printing also, I believe. Triple Tactic Thrust is definitely a card we've already mentioned. I lament the short print every time in Maze of Millennia, but it's working for Konami on the secondary market to be able to sell this card again, which is exactly the ploy that they were going for. This card is now $60 while the ulti is $80. There's barely a gap there, and the secret rare is starting to push up, as people don't really love the ultimate rare. They just want to have access to these copies, and this is about a $70 secret at this point, while the ulti is still there at 80-ish, but not the most in the world, and starts to push up towards 85. I really like the OG secret, but if there is a reprint announced, the ulti will go down the slowest, in my opinion, even if people aren't as big of a fan of how it looks, and could also age towards being one of the better ones to age after a reprint. Fellas, I just wanted to bring up, we already talked about the buyout on the holos, that it's getting lower on quantities for the commons, so you might want to get that sooner than later if you're just a Lightsworn fan who's put that off on getting pieces of the deck, and we're going to get around to it later with the new support. Well, yeah, the commons are actually in pretty good demand at this point. Ancient Gear Ballista had a lot of screenshots at $30. Tons of sellers have come back in around 20. Well, actually not a ton versus the refresh, just a couple. Okay. And yeah, so a lot of people trying to make the sale, but be aware that Ancient Gear, new support, Copium is mostly what this is, besides some new Earth Machine thing going on. Melodious, we have Schuberta going and getting bought out to a large degree and going up versus its already up market price. And then Crimson Dragon, I hadn't visited Duelist Nexus in a while, so it was a huge shock to me to see the Angelic Princess of Noble Arms under $40, but Isolde did get banned, as my Discord pointed out, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of not gonna be come back from very well. And of course, Infernoble falling off to a large degree. I just didn't realize it fell this bad. Oh my goodness. But Crimson Dragon is stonking pretty hard. People are pointing towards Centurion, and then they're also being Red Dragon Archfiend piles, which never underestimate a structure deck and its impact, is why I go back to ABC, and the memories that it will leave long-term too. So be aware, Crimson Dragon is pushing up on the sneak peek promo, as well as the secret rare and the quarter century secret rare. And when every version of a card from a set release is going up, there's a little something there. But remember, that reprint clock is ticking too with the Megatons, but gotta play in the WCQ, gotta play in events after the WCQ and up until that release. And this set, very thirsty for any value, pretty much. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the conversations. A lot going on with the market between the meta, new releases, and then shifts you might not have expected so much.